Hi, this is Carla Baker here, and today I'm interviewing Alexander O'Neal for his brand new Christmas single, What a Wonderful World, in collaboration with Salvation Army and Homeless Worldwide. I hope you enjoy the interview. Thank you very much for watching. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Alexander, for getting involved and being part of this amazing project. I really, really appreciate it. And as part of that, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions to get an idea of the passion and the drive behind everything involved, and you as a person, and to get everyone to get to know you a bit better. So, just as a start, what was the thing that led you to really get involved with Homeless Worldwide and Salvation Army to start this project?
Well, I had the opportunity to meet a young lady by the name of Jenny, who started this Homeless Worldwide Foundation. And, you know, after hearing her story, she told me her story, and it was about her brother, who was a homeless guy who passed away, and all of the obstacles and different things that they have to deal with. And I was just so intrigued by her effort to really do something about this homeless situation. It just led me to get involved, and she was so passionate about it. And then I began to get involved, and then I got passionate about it. And so it's a really good thing. It's a really good thing, and to be involved with something like this homeless foundation.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. So obviously you grew up in the Deep South in the 50s and 60s. And how was it growing up for you in Mississippi? How was it for you?
Well, actually, growing up in Mississippi, you know, it was a different type of situation because I was in the middle of racism, you know, especially in the 50s and 60s. You know, there were a lot of different obstacles that we were dealing with, trying to get equality, you know, innocent people getting killed. I'll never forget that this one guy who was a treasurer of the NAACP chapter of you know, our portion, and he had just got promoted in a company to supervisor, the first black supervisor they had. Well, he ended up getting bombed.
Oh, wow.
And this happened like a block from my house, right?
Wow.
And so this guy, it was pouring down raining that night, I'll never forget it. And this guy came to our house and he said, "It's the guy lying in the street and he's torn half in two." And wow, I was like, must have been 10 years old, and my mother, she knew that I was mischievous, so the first thing she said was, "Don't you leave the house, okay? Don't you walk out that door." I went, "Okay." And out of the back door, I slipped out of the back door, right? And I went up there, and it was something that I'll never forget as long as I live, because it was impacted my life, you know. And this guy was lying in the street and was literally hanging together by a small portion of skin.
Wow.
And it was something that I'd never forget. And I know that every time, my mother used to send me to the store at night, and so every time I'd get to that spot, I'd have to pass that spot every time going to the store. So I just turned my head back and started running. But it was a different kind of upbringing. But out of bad situations comes good situations a lot of times. You know, a lot of times, a lot of the stuff that we went through, it made us stronger and made us understand what about the human race that you don't understand, you know, and that's what it's all about. It's about good people and people being good to one another and being good human beings.
Absolutely. So it's interesting saying, touching on the understanding other people groups you maybe can't relate to initially, so especially around the homelessness. A lot of people don't understand homelessness and, you know, don't understand how can you relate to someone who is homeless. When you grew up, were you in a quite privileged family, or did you grow up quite poor?
We grew up poor, but not in the sense, I guess, of what some people, we didn't even know that we were poor. I mean, you know, we were so rich because growing up down south, you know, dealing with family, we were so family oriented until we had so much support within our family. It was almost like our family was so huge we didn't even need friends, okay? You know, and it was that type of situation. But actually we were rich with so many other things, and having family support and supporting one another, you know, it really, we always was able to network, especially being Southern blacks. That was a part of something that we had to do. So, and we did it well. So we really didn't address the issue, while I'm poor. You knew that other people may have been a little more well off than you were, but it wasn't, you never considered yourself as poor. You know, now, if I was living in New York or Chicago or someplace like that, Los Angeles, I would probably be able to see that more so than a guy who was raised in a rural area of the United States, because you know, we made up our own fun. You know, we had our own things, and so it was still it came out okay.
Fantastic. Well, you came out very well, I'd say. That's amazing. Okay, well, it's interesting because you're speaking about how, you know, obviously relating and being by yourself, and a lot of homeless people obviously are by themselves and don't have family, and you had a great network, which is very nice to hear. But especially growing up with a father, obviously, you know, we know that you lost your father before you were born. How was it growing up without a father? And obviously that's relatable to many people who are homeless, who don't have family and father figures. How was that for you without a father?
Well, that was probably one of the most difficult times of my whole childhood, being raised without a father, because I grew up with a lot of psychological scars just from the fact of not having a father. You know, when you're around kids who have their father, they're taking them hunting in the woods, and they're taking them fishing, and they're doing all kinds of stuff, and you didn't have that. But what I did have was I had a great group of men who mentored me, and they would really help me to get through that tough period. I went through a lot of psychological scars and things that I didn't even know what I was dealing with until I became an adult. And then I looked back and I said, oh, that's the reason why I was behaving the way I was behaving, right? And so, but you know, I mean, I used to pretend like, if that's my father and they were just kidding with my father, really not dead. You know, all kinds of stuff. As a child, you come up with those kind of things. But like I said, there were some men who stepped up and, you know, at least gave me the right, you know, direction to go. And that helped out tremendously.
Fantastic. So all the experience you had for growing up without a father, you know, especially a lot of homeless people and a lot of people in general this Christmas who, you know, will be spending Christmas by themselves without a father, what's the one advice you could give someone who hasn't got parents or a father figure in their life? What would you say to them?
Well, to be honest, you know, there are certain things you just have to get over. And when reality slaps you in the face, and you know you're dealing with, you can't live in what if, you know, coulda, shoulda, woulda, what would happen if I had had a father. You can't do that. The only thing you can do is try to be the best person that you possibly can be, and keep moving forward, because there's some things you're just never going to get back. And it's easier said than done, because, you know, I mean, it took me a long time, and still today, I'm still not over it. I'm still not over it. Father's Day come along. I think that I never had a chance to smell, touch anything with my biological father. So it still touches you. But you grow up and you grow out of it, and you go forward, and that's what you have to do. You have to put some things in perspective with life.
Yeah, that's great. I do what I like about what you're saying is it really shows that, you know, no matter, a lot of people, it's all about being able to relate to this topic, and I think a lot of people can't necessarily relate to homeless people, but everyone can relate to the things they go through. Maybe not growing up with a fat father figure or going through financial difficulties. You know, we all go through these things in different ways. So that is a relatable point. Now, coming to this Christmas, and especially with COVID going on and everything that's happening, what would you recommend or say to families, for example, to get involved with this project? How can they support this project? Because obviously a lot of people are going to become homeless this Christmas and lose their jobs and all that. What can people do watching this to get involved with this project?
Well, at least I can say in this day and time of social media, you know, someone said that everyone can do, let me get this right here, okay? Someone once said that no one can do it all, but everybody can do a little something.
That's good.
And that's what we're looking forward. During this time of this pandemic, we know that times are hard and they're rough for everybody. But what I would urge people to do is just to reach out, open your wallets up a little bit, and give to people that are less fortunate than you, just a little bit. That means we all can do a little bit, then it ends up being a lot. So what I'm urging people to do, if we just do just a little bit to help the homeless and help the homeless situation, it would be a great, great gesture.
Fantastic. Thank you. No, that's very true. Everyone can do something. Now, choosing this amazing song, "What a Wonderful World," we've chosen for this beautiful music video, is why did you choose such an iconic song from Louis Armstrong, obviously, and what was the passion, the drive behind it?
To be honest with you, growing up in Mississippi, and which we're neighboring state to Louisiana, we're like 2 hours away from New Orleans, my hometown. So we identify with New Orleans. That's our major city that we identify with. And growing up in that area, and all of the great musicians, the wealth of great artists that come out of the New Orleans music scene and out of the whole Southern music scene, Louis Armstrong was definitely an idol of mine. Okay, I grew up mimicking Louis Armstrong. I tell a lot of people, I do a great Louis. So I do, mimicking Louis Armstrong, but never knowing that later life that I would have the opportunity to re-record such an iconic song like "A Wonderful World." Louis Armstrong, definitely a hero of mine and one of my idols. So it's a privilege to be able to re-record this song.
That's great, honestly.
It's a privilege to be able to re-record this song for Homeless Worldwide and for Salvation Army that's involved with this project here. And it's such an honor to be a part of this project.
Well, you're talking about, and that's fantastic, thank you. I mean, talking about difficult times we're all going through in different levels and different ways. I think we can all relate to this, and especially that's why I think this music video is so exciting, because everyone will be able to relate to some extent in different ways. Now, obviously, throughout everything, you know that Salvation Army and Homeless Worldwide are two Christian charities, and I know you've got strong faith in God. And so how has that impacted your life in general throughout the years? How has that helped you or supported you? Have it? You want to share a bit more on that?
Well, to be honest with you, church gathering, that was mandatory in my household. It was no such thing as you wasn't going, My mother, was like, you were there every Sunday, it's happening, And I'm so glad that she implemented that into our mindsets, because I've had the Christian, I'm not so much into religion. I think religion is great if that's what you need to stay strong, fine. I'm more into spirituality. And my relationship, I feel like the one-on-one relationship with my God, whoever I believe in. And so it has always been very important in my life through a lot of difficult times, a lot of things that you deal with, especially being in the music industry. And I think that it gave me foundation, and it keeps me grounded. And I've always tried to equate my life and my success with the average guy. Simplicity is the name of the game, with me. And, I think that we make everything so difficult sometimes as human beings. We make it 10 times as difficult as it could be when it only really requires simplicity. And I think that having faith and working on it, and you can't have faith and trust in God without work. It takes maintenance, it takes action. You can not only say, I'm a good person, but you have to put that into effect. And that's what I try to live by. Through my spirituality, is trying to be the kindest person I possibly can be. The most efficient person I can possibly be. A lot of times I miss my mark on that one. But
don't we all.
And it's all about trying to, with me, be the best person that I possibly can be, in spite of what anybody could say about you or have to say it. And as long as you can look at yourself and feel like you've done that within the course of a day, job well done.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, obviously, being very much well known for being an amazing singer as you are, were you always inclined to become a singer when growing up, or you was like, I want to become a singer from age 4, or was it something you just kind of fell into? What was the journey then?
No, actually, no, I really thought I wanted to be a professional American football player. That's what I really had passion to be. I went to college as a football player. And after going to college, I realized quickly that college wasn't for everybody. And obviously not for me, because when I went to school, I wasn't prepared to be a college student. I actually went there on my athletic skills, but not my academic skills. So that kind of had things kind of twisted backwards then. But this was back in a different era, back in the 70s. And so, you know, that's what I lived for. That's what I wanted to be, this professional ball player. And now I'm really glad that didn't happen, because my career would have long since been over. And but you know, it happened to be everything that I was searching for in my life happened to lie within me. And it was like singing. Singing is such a natural thing for me. I never had any formal training. It was a natural thing, you know. It was a talent. There's a difference between a gift and a talent. A talent is something you have to constantly, you know, work at, cultivate it.
Yeah.
But a gift is something that comes very natural, and that's what singing to me does. It comes very natural. So it led me to believe that it was my destiny. And so that's why I'm here today talking to you, because I've been doing this for 45 years now, and it's a very good thing.
That's fantastic. That's great. So I would love to get an idea. What was in terms of singing when you started? What was your first actual paid job where you're like, I made some money through singing using my voice? What was the first? Do you remember?
My first paid job, I was 9 years old. And the kids in the neighborhood kind of coerced me up to saying for one of the kids' mothers, well, they didn't want to do it, right? And she said, Alec, because that's what they figured out. So they pronounced her name, Alec.
Alec.
She said, Alec, I'll give you a dime as you sing the song. I bust out, I've got to see you. I'll never forget that. A dime back in the 60s went a long way to buy a lot of things with a dime.
That's great.
So that was I consider it my first paying job.
That's amazing. How old were you then? How old were you?
9 years old.
There you go. Started early. That is amazing. So, great. So, as part of that, going into singing and getting into music more, what were your real inspirations during that time? Obviously, I guess you mentioned Louis Armstrong, which was a big one. Anyone else?
Well, I think that Otis Redding, James Brown, I could just go on and on. Endless amounts of people that has influenced, you know, my music. And from Elvis Presley, I always was more gravitated to Southern artists. And then you have the Motown sounds with the Stevie Wonders and Marvin Gaye and those kind of people. So there are a lot of influences. But I think the guy who most influenced me the most would be probably Donny Hathaway. Donny Hathaway, I think, was underrated. Such a great songwriter, such a great artist, and his voice was just off the chain. So I was influenced by Donny Hathaway and a lot of great singers. But I quickly found out that if you're going to make it in the music industry, you've got to bring something unique to the industry. If you're going to last in the music industry, you got to bring something unique. So you might want to work on your own sound. Find out who you are as an artist and try to, you know, perfect that, opposed to trying to perfect sounding like somebody else.
Yeah, true. That's fantastic advice. Thank you for that. That's great. Well, as part of that, I guess, I would love to pick your brain on what was the most memorable experience in your music career so far? One of the most memorable experiences you're like, oh, I'll never forget that concert or that moment or that whatever. Is there anything concert?
I would probably have to say the most memorable time for me is 6 sellout nights at the Wembley Arena. You know, there are a lot of artists who have sold out bigger things, Wembley Stadium, O2 Stadium, all that's fine and dandy. Well, I think having the opportunity for me to interact with my fans was very important to me, and it was a memorable time. And a lot of people, I still get people who talk about that today because we brought a bed on stage. It was, it was the first time, and some people said that after I brought the bed scene, all of a sudden that Madonna, it's a bed scene. You know, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to say I had anything. But anyway, it was a great time for us, and probably the most memorable time in my whole career, the reaction, because, you know, people in the UK here have been so supportive of Alexander O'Neal. Actually, they told America who I was going to be long before America even knew what an Alexander O'Neal was going to be. Because I found out that one thing about my fans here, especially in England and the UK, is they grow up with you, but they also grow older with you, and they keep coming out and they keep having fun, and I enjoy. As long as they keep coming, I'm going to keep enjoying giving it back to them.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that. Well, it's amazing to see that you love what you do and have inspired thousands and thousands and thousands of people around the world. And I think just to add on to that, I mean, for this Christmas release, for What a Wonderful World, obviously it's not necessarily that wonderful at the moment, and that's why we wanted one of the reasons obviously we're doing is to inspire hope, to raise awareness for homelessness, and then really get people supporting. What's one thing you would like to say as a final question or final answer to everyone watching this, to how they can support and get involved, and what would you like to say to them?
I just, I know that this is a very, very difficult time in life for so many people. I think that there are so many other things that need to be addressed as well as COVID-19 and the homeless situation. It really needs addressing, and it needs supporting, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to address it and to support it as much as I possibly can, because being homeless, it creates so many different types of problems for an individual that people don't even think of it, especially when it comes to mental stability.
Yes.
All those types of things, and there are so many other issues that need addressing as to why someone is homeless.
True.
Okay? And so, if nobody ever talks about it, if nobody ever does anything about it, then it'll just keep spiraling and going around and around, and nothing will never get done. Well, here with Homeless Worldwide Foundation, with the Salvation Army, and it was such an honor to be a part of this whole situation, especially with Homeless Worldwide and the Salvation Army involved, because that's what they do. They help people and they give people. For me to have an opportunity to do that is an honor and a blessing, and I'm just thankful to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. I really, myself and everyone else watching really appreciates your input and your sharing a bit of your life story. And I'll let you get on with your day and say thank you so much for the time. And I hope Merry Christmas to everyone watching, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you too, brother.
Thank you. Man. God bless. Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much for watching the interview with Alexander O'Neal. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you want to support and come on board, please check out the link below where you can either download Alex's single or donate to one of our 2 chosen charities. Every little bit counts, and together we can make this a wonderful world. Thank you so much for watching. Merry Christmas.